Hello and welcome to our Generations Church Livestream Tech training. Livestream Tech is an important role here at Generations Church because what you do is you take the presentation of the gospel and you convert it into a form that people can access not just in service, but literally anytime they want and pretty much anywhere they want. This ministry helps people who are shut in, who can't make it to church, people who are on vacation to stay connected to the church. It also acts as a front porch for people who are considering attending our church so that they can see a little bit of what a service at Generations Church is like. So Livestream Tech is a vital role. I appreciate you for being willing to jump in, and I just want to walk you guys through a few of the things that it takes to be a live stream technician. So this is OBS, this is our presentation software, and I'm just going to show you guys around a little bit on the program here. What we have is, you can see this is the main display area, and so it's showing it's showing a video feed of the stage right now. We've got on the left-hand side here is our sermon information. So if I go in here and edit, it's going to show a title and a description. This is the same title and description that gets posted on Facebook and YouTube and things like that. On the right-hand side of the screen, we have the chat. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. This chat is unique because it goes to both Facebook and YouTube potentially at the same time. So you can select which one you want it to go to here. Down at the bottom, there's some really important information. On the left side is scenes, and we'll get back to those in a minute. The second stage here is sources. This is all of the things that are contained in a particular scene. So when we click through, you can see that the sources change. That way you can see what is in the particular scene. The next stage is the audio mixer. This is all of the audio that's going into the scene, scene transitions that we don't use very often, but it just controls how it moves from one scene to the next, and then controls on the far end, and this is where you're going to start streaming when we get to that point. Okay, so scenes are probably the most important part of what we do inside of OBS. There's a list here, and like I said, it chooses, or it helps you to identify which sources are being presented at any given time. For instance, this first one that is labeled pre and post service stream audio contains ProPresenter and it contains stream music. Now, stream music is important because we have to be careful when we're presenting audio online that we don't use any copyrighted music. That means everything that we play, both pre and post service, that comes from Spotify can't be played on the live stream. So we have this special setting that has some preset stream music that is okay, that has already been cleared for live streaming. And so pre and post service, we want to make sure that we don't get the audio feed from the soundboard. Instead, we get it from this stream music section here. ProPresenter is the graphics, all of the overlays for the screen. And so you can see it's scrolling through a list of announcements right now. Once the service starts, then we would switch over to this one that is camera one with graphics, main scene. It's got the text on the side for the worship song, the lyrics, and then it's got the video feed here. And this Scarlett 2i2 is the live stream audio. So this is audio that's coming from the soundboard. You can see that there's nothing coming through right now because I don't have anything playing in the mix. Also, any audio from ProPresenter would also be displayed in this scene as well. So if we're broadcasting a video or something like that, then it would show up here as well. The next one is camera only. This is a kind of a temporary option. If there's some sort of a problem with the ProPresenter feed, you're not getting the graphics you're expecting or something like that, switching over here clears out all of the graphics. It just gives you the video and the audio from the soundboard. The next one down is what we play during greeting time, because we want people to be able to see what's happening in the room. So we've got the video on here, but we don't want them to hear what's happening, because usually we play Spotify during that intermission time. And so we don't want that to be broadcast. So we have a greeting time, just stream audio. For right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and put us on the camera one with graphics scene so that we can continue working through the rest of this program. This iPad here is how we control both the video and audio that is being sent to OBS. So here we have the camera pan, tilt, zoom app. I'm going to go ahead and open this up here, and this app controls the camera. You can see that this is a joystick, and when I move the joystick, then the camera starts to move. Okay. We also have a zoom in and out feature here. So when I move that up and down, it zooms in and out. And we have a series of presets here that that trigger to certain spots in the stage. For example, the center zoomed button moves the camera to right about where the pulpit is, kind of in the middle of the stage. Center mid-range backs it up just a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the stage. Center whole stage, then make sure that you can see most everything. You still can't see the piano, you can't see the baptismal, but you can see most everything that's on the stage. Then we have a left stage zoomed, which focuses in on the worship leader. This is a pretty important one that we want to use, especially when Tiffany is talking to the congregation. It's important to focus in on her so that people can see her expressions, or whoever is leading worship at the time. We also have a left stage mid-range, kind of backs up just a little bit. Right stage zoomed is going to bring us over to the piano. This is important for when Starla is leading worship. She usually leads worship from the piano, and so we get a shot of her, and then we have a mid-range as well. We've got one that focuses on the pulpit. We have one that's left of pulpit for when Pastor Jeff wanders to the left, right of pulpit for when Pastor Jeff wanders to the right, and whole stage for when I'm doing laps around the stage and you're having a hard time keeping up. Then you can zoom all the way out. Also, we use this one a lot of times during the greeting time so that people can see that there are people in the room and can see what they're doing, even if they can't hear what's happening, because we've got it set to the stream audio setting. And then the other one is this one that is called MX Bus. Let me see if you can see that there, MX Bus. And this lets us control the audio for the live stream. Unfortunately, since I'm recording this video when there's no worship team present, it's going to be hard for you to get an idea of what the worship would look like. But here's the basic layout of the app, and then you can come in and play with it during the week. But essentially, this is the MX Bus app. You want to make sure that right here you're set to live stream, because if you pick one of these other ones, then you mess up what we're hearing in our head. So we just select live stream right there. And then this gives you control over everything that's happening in worship. So if the snare drum is too loud, you can turn it down, or if the toms are too loud. We've got bass guitar, acoustic guitar, 1, 2, 3, keyboard, grand piano, things like that. All of the different musical instruments that we have are listed on this screen. There's actually a second page as well that includes the pastor's mic and a bunch of other things. So what I did was I uploaded a video of worship so that you can see what's happening. And you'll notice that on the Scarlett right here on the inside of OBS, it displays a readout that shows how much sound is coming into the system. It's important that we get this pretty accurate, because if the sound is too low, then people are having to turn their cell phone up. They can't always hear very well. If it's too high, then we get clipping. So this fader right here reduces the sound, brings it back up. This is the overall mix. This is everything put together. The rest of these all feed into this one fader. So it all comes in like tributaries to a river flowing into the main river. This is the main river. These are all the tributaries, but all of them go to an overall sound level. And we want to make sure that that overall sound level is typically in the yellow, occasionally touching the red. But if it's down in the green down here, it might be too quiet for people. Now you see how it bounces around all the time. So we just kind of do our best. But if we turn it up too loud, we end up with clipping. We end up with it starts to sound really distorted, really bad, and I'm not getting a good representation here, but you'll see it here in just a second. And the whole bar turns red, and it's like, ooh, please don't do that. And so we bring it down so that we have a more pleasant listening experience. Think of it like that same river then trying to go through a dam or something, and how it creates a lot of pressure, a lot of power. Well, that's what we're doing there. We're pushing too much through the channel. And now here's your 30-second sound guy training. Of course, you can always talk to the sound person if you have any questions about what the sound should look like. But essentially, when you're mixing worship, what you want the worship leader to be the most prominent thing in the mix. Her voice or his voice should cut through and above everything else. You should be able to hear their words clearly and distinctly. That is the most important thing. Typically, then, there is some sort of a dominant instrument. Usually when Starla is playing piano, that is Starla. Oftentimes also it's myself on the rhythm guitar, but we have those as kind of the dominant instruments. And then underneath that instrument, we want to have whatever background vocals are there. Now, background vocals should blend together. You shouldn't be able to distinguish one above the other, and they should complement what the worship leader is doing. The rest of the audio then gets filled out, and it really comes down to an artistic choice. I prefer a lot of bass in the music, and I think that turning the bass up a little bit is nice, especially for somebody if it's watching on a mobile phone. They don't have a great bass response, so turning it up a little extra is nice to do. We have keys as well that kind of fill in and help everything fit together, and of course the drums provide a lot of the energy in the music, and so you'll want to balance those things out. Typically, you won't have to touch the drums, and instead I prefer to mix everything around the drums. So if the drums are at a certain level, then I'll make sure that the worship leader is on top of that. Whatever the main instrument is right underneath that, the background vocals, and then the rest of the worship team underneath that. So that I'm layering all of these things on top of what the drums are doing. If you have any other questions about that, you can talk to our sound tech, whoever's with you. They can help you. They also have the ability to control what's happening on the live stream. So if there's something that's just not working, talk to them and they will help you out with it. And the last thing I'll say about audio is this tends to be the thing that people forget. Now, you'll have a set of headphones so that you can hear what's happening on the audio. You're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to this bar right here to make sure that, again, we're in the yellow consistently, occasionally bumping into the red, very rarely dropping down to the green, and just kind of making sure that things stay balanced there. You'll also want to make sure to pay attention to the audio anytime we have a video clip that we're showing, anytime we change from like worship into announcement time. those critical transitions, you want to make sure that you're paying attention there. And during worship, things change fairly often. Sometimes I play my guitar harder, sometimes I play it quieter. And so you'll want to always be monitoring what the sound levels are doing so that we make sure that the experience for the people at home is pleasant and that it comes across really well. So constant monitoring of the audio is important for the overall sound mix. In fact, people will forgive a lot of video mistakes as long as the audio is clear and consistent. But if the audio starts to lag, or if it's really harsh or unforgiving, then they will be quicker to tune out in those cases. If you think about how people experience a live stream, oftentimes they've got their phone going, maybe they have it highlighted, just up in the corner. They're playing a game or something while they're watching the live stream. Maybe they put it down, they're doing dishes, things like that. So audio is actually more important to the overall mix than even video is, and it's important for us to keep that in mind. So now let's go over how to go live and what that looks like, and then we'll kind of walk through a quick version of what the service might look like. Before you go live, one of the things that we're going to ask you to do is we're going to ask you to send the live stream out to the lobby TV. What you're going to do for that is you're going to right click on the screen, you're going to select windowed projector here, and then you are going to drag this off of this screen and onto the TV. Now simply go out to the lobby and you'll see the small projector there up on the screen. You're just going to bring the mouse out with you. So we'll just click on the green bubble. It sends it to full screen, and that's how you get the live stream onto the lobby TV. So once you've got the feed on the lobby TV, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to check in Restream right here, make sure that the title and description have been updated to the current sermon title. We'll have sermon notes. The media person will have sermon notes so that you can ensure that they're accurate, and then you are ready to go live. When the countdown on the screen goes to 1 minute, that's when you want to hit the start streaming button, and you're just going to click this button right here to start streaming. During service, what we want you to be doing is we want you to always be thinking about checking the camera position. We're going to always be checking the camera position to make sure that it's in the right spot. And again, we use the pan, tilt, zoom app for that. So we'll go to a center mid-range shot here. We've got that. And then we always want to be also monitoring the audio. Right now you can see there's not much audio coming in. That's because there's not a band playing. But we'll always want to be watching this fader right here to make sure that it's in the yellow, occasionally touching on the red, and not generally down here unless there's just nothing happening on stage. And we adjust that using the MX Bus app that I showed you guys before. We want to make sure that when there is music being played through Spotify, that we have one of these stream audio scenes selected, and when there's not, then that we are on the appropriate scene for the worship service. So typically you're going to stay on cam 1 with graphics main scene. This is going to be the scene that you're on most of the time. It's got this nice overlay, it's got a spot for the worship lyrics, it has the video present, it has the correct audio on the scene. This is the one that you're going to stay on most of the time. If there's a problem with the projector, then we're going to flip over to this camera only one, which eliminates all of the rest of that graphic noise that's coming in and just focuses on the camera until the live stream tech until the media tech is ready to go, and then we can flip back to the camera main scene presentation there. So that's how we do that. That's what we want to be thinking. The third thing, so we're going to check our camera position, we're going to check the audio, and then the third thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be monitoring the chat, and the chat comes in on this sidebar over here. You can type messages, you can like comments, you can interact with the people that are coming in. When chatting, we want you to remember that you are representing the church. So we want to keep our comments positive, we want them to be faith-filled, and we want to keep people on topic. You don't have to worry about being the police of the chat, but if you see somebody that's starting to have a conversation about a basketball game or something like that, and you feel like it's distracting, it is okay to step in and just be like, hey guys, isn't this a great worship service that we're having right now? Or let's keep our focus on Jesus, or things like that. Like you can insert things if you would like. But the more important thing is to make sure the audio and the video are correct and in where you want to go. Now with the video, one of the things that I think it's important to be regularly changing the angle of the shot. We only have one camera, so we're kind of limited in how we can do things, and you're always going to get where you see the camera moving. There's no way to avoid that in our context, but it's still a good thing that the camera shot moves around every once in a while, because it helps people to stay engaged with what's happening. So feel free to move it fairly regularly, zooming in occasionally on the worship leader, occasionally going to like a whole stage shot so people can see what's happening. Even like this center whole stage one includes some people that are in the pews. So you might, if you see people raising their hands or something like that, pulling out and letting people see that there's other people worshiping can be a really good thing and a really way to draw people in. And so that's how you're going to do it during service. If there are any videos, again, you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to the audio, make sure that it is mixed right. At the end of service, what we're going to do is pretty easy. We're going to click the stop streaming button, which will stop the recording from happening. It saves a copy of it out in the cloud so that we can access it later. We're just gonna take the iPad, close it down, plug it back into this charging station right here. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to close out of OBS and then hit restart just to, clear any memory and stuff like that and get it. There'll be a fresh start for the next person that comes in and does the live stream. That's what it takes to be a live stream tech. Again, the most important things are monitoring the video, occasionally changing the camera inputs or the camera position, monitoring the audio, and then monitoring the chat. That's what you're going to be doing during service. So that's what it takes to be a live stream tech. What's important about this position, again, I want to make sure that as we close, we remember this, that what you're doing is you are giving people a portal into what's happening, what God is doing here at Generations Church. This is a ministry to people who are shut-ins, to people who are out of town, to people who can't regularly make it, even to people around the world that are watching us on YouTube get to hear the gospel proclaimed because of this position. So thank you so much for being willing to be a part, and I'm just excited to see what God wants to do through this ministry.